everyone, Nick Creticos of Nick's Seasonal Decor. I'm back again. I was just live a few minutes ago showing a little bit of my garden, but a lot of you requested that I do a rustic Christmas themed wreath tonight, and I took your advice, and that's what we're going to be creating. So just give me 1 second while I pull up the feed off my phone. That way I can follow along and read your comments as we go. So the inspiration was another sign similar to the shape of the one yesterday. This is a very popular size sign. I think it's about 6 by 12 inches or so. We are using a black Halloween frame today because I did run out of my burlap ones. So whenever you use a frame that doesn't necessarily match your mesh or your ribbons, what I always end up doing is I either hide them or I cut them off very close towards the base. And that way you don't truly really see them. So that's what we're going to have to end up doing tonight. So let me pull up the feed. Wow, almost 200 of you in like 30 seconds. Welcome. Watching from Massachusetts, welcome. So I think we're going to be using this mesh. I've had this for 2 years and I was planning on using it and I just couldn't find a project for it. I bought 2 rolls of it because I absolutely love it. But it has tan, it has kind of a hunter green, and a darker red, which also the sign has. So I think it'll match the sign nicely. And I did want to tie in a little bit of that shabby chic white, that whitewash that you see on the sign. And I'm still not quite sure how we're going to do that. So any recommendations you guys may have, I definitely would like to hear them. I did find this where this came from Hobby Lobby. We could add some curls to this wreath. If you like that idea, say curls. What we also have that we just have a few pieces, half a roll left. So we'd probably do a smaller bow for that. We have a kind of ivory off-white 1.5 inch velvet. That's another method we have. And that's pretty much it, actually. That's all the white that we can bring into this today. So if you like the idea of adding some curls or the ribbon, let me know which one you like better, and we'll incorporate some of that. Hi, everyone. Hi, Nick. Enjoying all your lives. Thank you. So I hope you guys are liking me go live pretty much every night. I anticipate we're going to do that for the rest of the month. So if you like that, just let me know, and we'll continue. And again, if you have any other ideas you'd like to see me create, just put them in the comment section. So what we're going to do first is we're going to open up our twist ties. And the reason I do that is because I think it saves time in the end and the hassle of trying to find them through all of the mesh. We are going to do the ruffle technique today. That is one of my favorite techniques, but we can do other techniques this month as well. But tonight, what I'm finishing up recording is a mailbox swag for the exclusive Wreath community members. So if that's something you'd like to see, I'll definitely post pictures of it. And of course, if you want to watch the video, or if you are a member, the video will be out tonight, a little bit later after this video gets posted. Hi, Nick. Nice gardens. I wish I didn't kill plants. Any pins for Wreath Makers Live? So I was thinking about it. I know lots of other designers are creating them. I would have to figure out how to source them. But if that's something you guys are interested in, let me know if you'd like to see a pin for those of you that are going to Wreath Makers Live. Okay, so we dealt with this in the beginning, and now we don't have to worry about trying to find them after we start adding some mesh. So I'm just going to place that off to the side so we can begin cutting our mesh. So I think we'll cut approximately 18-inch pieces or so. And I think we'll end up needing about 18 as well. So 18 pieces and 18-inch cuts, for those of you that are wondering. And you might be wondering why I cut my board upside down. And the reason for that is because I'm a lefty, and the hole where they hang it is on the left-hand side. So I do have that issue where it doesn't cut all the way through because we have a little hole on it. So right now, Tanya just called me and FaceTimed me. So I'm guessing she wants to hang out. But if I knew that, I would have invited her for the video. I know lots of you guys like to watch Tanya in my videos. Actually, some of you guys like her better than me, which I'm totally fine. I'm totally fine with that. But I'm excited for her to use the perfect tails. to see if she can mess those up. So we've cut 5 so far. We still have some more to cut. But right now, my table, it might look clean on camera, but off to the side, I have all of my fall stuff that I was designing with today for the group. So I'm kind of jumbled up on space right now. So let's stop here and start applying some of the mesh. And for those of you that don't like to watch step by step, you could share this video and watch it later, come back to it later, and fast forward and rewind to your liking. But we are taking it step by step pretty much every night this month. So I'm just doing a ruffle technique, and we're applying it to a black pencil tinsel tie wreath. And this is a standard 15 to 24 inch work wreath. Yep, 15 to 24 inch work wreath, so your standard one. So what do you guys think? Do you think we should have blessed your page? Thank you. How much is your group? My group is $15 a month for 8 pre-recorded tutorials where we do it step by step, and then I edit the video down so you guys don't have to sit there and watch me cut the mesh or cut the ribbons. It's all pre-cut, and the videos are just it's just informative. There's no talk like this. It's just straight to the basics and straight to the point. So we've almost reached our Instagram goal of 5,000. I think we're about 30 people short. So that'd be awesome if we could hit that tonight. And we're almost at 8,000 YouTube subscribers, which is amazing. You guys were awesome last night. And also, I've been coordinating with Miriam, the co-owner of Home Talk, and tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will be designing a dollar store themed mesh summer wreath. For those of you that watched me on Home Talk or found me on Home Talk, I greatly appreciate you, and I'm so excited to be working with them again. I loved Home Talk. So we're also going to be peppering in a few pre-recorded videos as well, I believe. We did one doing a summer watermelon theme wreath. But we'll be doing a live tomorrow at 7 p.m. And I'd love for as many of you to join us as possible. Okay, so we used all the mesh we cut, and we still need 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or so pieces. I found you there. Awesome. Is that 4 Pacific Standard Time? So Pacific is 3 hours behind Eastern, so it's 7 p.m. Eastern. So that's 4 p.m. Pacific. Typically, we used to go in the mornings at either 9 or 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But, you know, for the West Coast and the Midwest, that was really, really early for them. And typically, we have a better audience for my own personal page at night. Obviously, they have a lot more followers than me. So they have people scattered all around the world. But typically nights work best for my followers, so we decided to do at nighttime for as many of you guys to watch as possible. But I'm still using the same rotary cutter. I'm just applying a lot more force than I would have if it was brand new. But like I said to you guys before, I'd rather maybe do double cuts sometimes. 99% of the time I'm able to just do one clean cut. But it's a little bit more dull than it was in the beginning. And something like this honestly truly terrifies me, having a sharp blade like that. And I've seen horror stories about it. So always make sure you lock it as well. I know I say that in every video, but I don't want any of you guys to hurt yourselves. What is the Instagram name? So my Instagram name is Nick Seasonal Decor, same as YouTube. It's the same name for all of my accounts. What do you guys think? You guys like this mesh? I love it. Are you excited about Wreath Makers Live? Can't wait to meet you in person. Same here. Yep, home talk. Home talk, not homework. I'm excited for Wreath Makers Live, and at the same time, a little nervous. That's a lot of people going to that. I'm fine with a lot of people online, which you might think is kind of crazy because, you know, you can get awful... I mean, I don't really get awful comments, but you can get awful comments from people behind screens. But for some reason, in person scares me a little bit more than being online. And there's over 800 people going. So it's definitely going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to meet so many of you. Hi, Kathy. Where can I get the tools you use? So I'm a very frugal person. The most expensive tool I have that we're using today is probably my rotary cutter, and if that's going to be about $12 or so. So I use a rotary cutter. I use a cutting mat. You have to use one of these mats with a rotary cutter. I use simple bolt snips or wire cutters from where are those from? Not Tractor Supply, Harbor Freight. My scissors, actually my scissors were probably the most expensive. That's what I meant to say. Those were, they're Fisker, so they're very sharp. But for years and years and years before I was gifted those, I just used Betty Crocker scissors. Those you guys know, for those of you that were watching me in the beginning, those are my go-to scissors. I love working with them. They are $1, and you can get so many uses out of them before throwing them away, or even sharpening them. Glad you are doing lives again. Started watching on Home Talk. Thank you. So I hope to see as many of you as possible tomorrow night. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. Gosh, we haven't done a Home Talk tutorial live in a while. I think since January. So I'm excited for that. Okay, so we need one more piece, and I swear that's it. This is it. One more piece, and then we're done. So what do you guys think? Now it's crunch time. Do you think we should add the white ivory burlap mesh, or should we add the white ivory velvet ribbon? Wish I could have gone to Crafters Convention to meet you. It is because of you that I started doing this. Aw, thank you. I've missed you on Home Talk. Alright, so I think we're going to add some of these. I think that'll pair nicely and tie in a little bit of the white. I don't know. I don't think we'll need it in every twist, so we'll just cut 9 or so of these. And maybe that'll be enough. This came from Hobby Lobby. So obviously this is not as white as the wreath, the sign itself, but just tying in a little bit of that white is going to be useful and make the sign not stand out quite as much. So I'm cutting these 18 inches as well, even though we're doing a curl. Reason being, I want them to be as white as possible without using white mesh. Since the other mesh is also a poly jute mesh, I didn't want to add basic mesh. That's very plasticky. Even though these are plastic, I didn't want to overdo it with plastic. So by making them a little bit longer, it'll make it a little bit less see-through, which ultimately will make it a little bit more brighter and white. I'm working with barely any room. Basically what you see on screen is the amount of room I have, and everything off screen is just overloaded with fall stuff I picked out today to pre-record some videos. So that's why you see me kind of throwing things in all different directions. Okay, so I think that should pretty much do it. I may have to cut 1 or 2 more pieces, but I don't want to be suffocated with mesh right now. So I missed it. What time tomorrow night for Home Talk? 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And like I said, it would mean a lot to me if you guys could come watch. I want to see as many familiar faces as I possibly can. So this is what I mean by cutting it a little bit longer and making it a little less see-through. It just brightens it a little bit and makes it a little less opaque. And I just rolled it into a rather tight roll. I think that'll look best for this particular design. I'm opening up the twist, that way our wreath doesn't become too poofy. And I'm just simply placing one in every other twist. So think of these as flower petals. We're going to always have them shooting away from the heart of the wreath. Think of the donut hole or the circle as being sunflower seeds, and all of the mesh as being your yellow sunflower petals. I think that's a perfect way of thinking about it, because then you'll always have your petals or your mesh shooting away from the middle. Let's see if we can reach 1,000 people tonight. That'd be awesome. We almost had it last night. Okay, so this section right here, we have 2 open twists that we could add it to. But I think we're going to hold off because these are kind of evenly distributed anyway. These 2 seem to be a little bit closer than everything else. So I think we'll just hold off on adding any more white in the interior. And now we'll just work some in around the perimeter. Yep, so Home Talk is, I believe, the world's largest DIY community on social media. So they do everything from me being the wreath person, to home improvement, to other decorations, yard decorations, home decorations. Hello from Pennsylvania. Welcome. But I really am so excited and motivated to be doing lives as much as possible. I did kind of get out of the groove for a bit, but now that we've been doing them quite frequently now, this is probably our 5th in about 7 days or so. We've done them pretty much every day, except for the 3rd and the 4th. And, you know, I missed it. I really did. I didn't think I was going to miss it as much as I did. But I think bringing out a little white that you see me using here is really going to help. Okay, so we have 1 more twist, but we're also missing, we also have 2 twists where if we place one in either one, it's still going to be side by side. So we're still going to place it because I still have 1 pre-cut, and I don't want to waste that. Okay, what do you guys think of that so far? I think that'll be just enough white so that the sign doesn't get too in your face. But our next step, of course, is ribbon, and this is where I'm confused as to what I want to add. So you might see a selection behind me. I'm just going to quickly show the ribbons I've got, and you guys can help me choose which ones you'd like to see. We have this 1.5-inch red stripe, which I really like. This came from Michaels. We have a solid burlap, which I think might be pretty as well. This is just a solid burlap. We have a plaid. The plaid's kind of pretty. Maybe we'll do the plaid. So I like the plaid, definitely the plaid. We have this one, a little bit thin, so I don't really want to use that. And then we have this. So how about these 3 together? You guys like that color combination? Give me some likes if you like that. I know, I know. So Damon, the reason I'm doing mesh rustic wreath today instead of an grapevine is because I have 2 grapevines left, and one of them is really wonky, and the other one I'm going to be using tomorrow for a tutorial. So that's why we're using mesh again. But you guys know mesh is not my absolute favorite. I'm more of a floral guy, and I love working with florals. I know, Damon, but there's a big difference between in person and lives. Or at least I think there is. So let's use our perfect tails for the second night in a row. And these came from Soul Sisters. If Katie or one of them pops into the group tonight or the live right now, I'll have them share the link. And if not, then I'll come back and I'll share the link afterwards. But you can pick these up. They come in 3 sizes, 12-inch, 13-inch, and 14-inch. I prefer the 12-inch. It's my favorite. That's typically the size I usually cut my ribbons. How many did I just do? So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There we go. Good choice of picking the ribbons. So I'm pretty picky with kind of like the color combinations. I like everything to match. And I don't really like using too many different prints. So we're using a plaid, which is probably like the most crazy out of all the 3 we're using. And then we're using a solid burlap. And then we're also just using a stripe. So very simple. All right, how easy was that? We just cut 18 pieces of ribbon in no time at all. So we're also going to be adding these to every single twist. We're going to do 3 ribbons tonight rather than 2. So we're going to be adding this to every twist as well. And I think after using this twice now, the best way to use it is kind of adding it loosely. That way you're easily able to slide it off. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There we go. So that would have taken easily 10 minutes, or 45 if you're Tanya. And we did it in about a minute. So that's 18 of the plaid, and I think we'll just do 9 of these, because we're not going to be doing these in every twist. We're going to do the bow tie thing that we did yesterday, and I think it'll look really nice against this particular print. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now is the really, really exciting, fun part where you guys sit here and watch me dovetail. So now's the time. If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask away, and I'll be more than happy to answer them while I'm here. That way, it's not just you seeing me cut dovetail ribbon. I know, I can't wait for fall too. So the board I'm using is a 12-inch board. And that's my favorite size. I don't like my ribbons to extend too far past everything. I like them to kind of be compact a little bit. So now we're folding our ribbon in half and cutting at an angle. But how's everybody's night? It was an incredibly hot day today. I was with my friend Kendall earlier. And even right now with I have all of my studio lights on because I didn't turn them off because I was, like I said earlier, I was pre-recording a video, and it is like an oven in here. I kind of feel like if Tanya was here, it would kind of be like Hansel and Gretel if my grandma came down. Just because I honestly feel like I'm being cooked right now. It's really hot. And even though the sun's gone down and it's kind of cooled off slightly, I guess we're really not used to the heat all that much because it doesn't really get super duper hot here compared to some of you. Okay, so we cut all 9 of these. And like I said, this might be a little boring, so for those of you that don't like watching this, you could always fast forward once the video is over. So I think I'm going to cut 2 of these at a time simply because I want them to have nice clean cuts. And by cutting 2, it reduces the odds of it fraying because you're cutting through a lot. So we're only cutting through 2 of them at a time, so it does take a little bit, but we did save a lot of time by using the perfect tails. It's super duper hot here in Georgia. I can just imagine. So this ribbon, believe it or not, from Hobby Lobby, we're using an orange one earlier, and now I'm using the burlap one. It's from their fall collection, and it is incredibly thick and wonderful to work with. So I'm a huge fan of this ribbon. Yes, exactly. Hi, Nick. First time watching you. Yes, all of this ribbon is wired ribbon, and that's an incredibly great question. So I'm also a fresh floral designer. I did go to school for that, and I do use silk ribbon for my fresh flowers, but I only ever use wired ribbon for artificial flowers or artificial mesh wreaths like this. I never use non-wired ribbon. And even if ribbon's wired, it does not necessarily have to be super thick wired, so you always want to make sure to feel it. If you go to a wholesaler, you can sometimes just feel it through the little covering, the little plastic covering that's wrapped around it, and you could be able to tell if it's super quality or very thin. And if it's super thin, I typically stay away because that usually kind of folds on itself and it doesn't have a great effect when creating bows or even loops. I know New Orleans is going to be incredibly hot. So Cheryl just shared the link to purchase the Perfect Tails. Thank you, Cheryl, for that. Meeting all the Soul Sisters was amazing. I've met a couple of them before at Wreath Makers Live, and we had a lot of fun at Crafters Convention this year. Okay, almost there, you guys. Just bear with me. So this one's a little bit thinner, so I can cut multiple at a time without reducing the quality of the dovetails. So we're cutting about 4 of these at a time. And I do like just to make sure that they're all lined up between cuts. So for those of you that are going to Wreath Makers Live, how many of you guys are going to buy my first through 100th drink? I'll be 21 by 2 days. We leave basically a day and a half after my birthday. So I'm going to party with some of my friends that are 21. And then I'll be heading to New Orleans. And we're going to have a lot of fun for those of you that are going. Okay, almost there. 2 more cuts after this. And I've seen some people design using the leftover bits. These ones, of course, aren't perfect, but sometimes you can get perfect ones. So if you ever designed using these, let me know. Post pictures of it. I'd love to see what you can do by using the leftover triangles from cutting your ribbon. I'll buy you one, Nick. Awesome. Where in Georgia are you? So I'm actually from Massachusetts. I'm about 20 minutes north of Boston. And very few crafters around here are from, New England or the East Coast, the Northeast Coast. But going to Crafters Convention, I heard a lot of people say, I'm fixing to, and that's just something we don't say around here. So every time somebody would say it, I would just have to sit there and think. Like, when you hear something and it really sticks out like a sore thumb, you're like, what? And that's all you can focus on. I heard several people say that, and that's all I focused on when they were talking to me. Because I never hear that around here. Okay, we dovetailed all of them. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to separate the ribbons real quick, shake off my workstation. And that's why I kind of like using my mat as well, because it just keeps everything clean. and I could just put it all on top and dump it in my trash can right next to me. Oh, I missed the trash. That's going to be fun later. All right. So now we can add our ribbon, and I like to add it before adding the sign. And we're going to do one of each. One of each for every single twist, and then we'll come back and add the red. So we'll just skip every one. We'll just add these two for the start. But I think this is going to turn out really pretty. What about making an acorn with the leftover bits using a styrofoam ball? That's an amazing idea. I personally don't have the patience to glue everyone or use a floral pin. I think your best bet would actually probably use a floral pin. That way it stays in place. I don't have the patience for that, but if somebody does and does it, definitely take a picture. I'd love to see it. I think that's a great idea. I would have never actually thought of that. Okay, so these two are touching because we did have one extra twist, and that's fine. We'll come back in and add a bow tie to the other ones, so we don't have to worry about that right now necessarily. So like I said before, I like to space things out as evenly as possible. So since we have two placed like this with the two ribbons, we'll come where we're in the midway point right here and place the one without the red stripe right here. So the mesh either came from Trendy Tree or Craft Outlet. I forget which location, but both of them definitely carry something very similar in style. But if you're able to find it at Trendy Tree, I definitely recommend Trendy Tree. Definitely support smaller local businesses, family-owned businesses, than big box stores like other locations. This is my first Wreath Makers Live. Awesome! You're going to have a blast. My biggest recommendation is to not be shy. I know that's hard to do, but if you see somebody you recognize, definitely approach them, say hi. It means a lot when people recognize people from lives or videos or see their designs. So just get out there, meet new people, make the most of it. We're all doing the same thing, which you very rarely see unless you're at conventions like that. Because I could be talking about making wreaths outside of my house to my community, and nobody would have any idea or any interest, for that matter, in what we're doing. But at least at Wreath Makers Live, we'll have over 850 people that love what we're doing, and we all share the same passion. Do you have a video how to start off the wreath? So if you share this video and go back to it on your timeline after it's posted, you'll be able to see it from the beginning. Basically, after the replay is posted, it's essentially a movie, if you will. You could fast forward, rewind, stop, pause. Okay, so now we've added the two ribbons to everyone. So now we're going to come back in with the red stripe. I could have added this in the beginning. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking of adding bow ties. So that was my mistake. Clearly, it's a million degrees down here, and my brain is cooking. So what I thought we were doing was adding the bow ties next, but we still have to add the bow ties separately. So now I just got to go back in real quick, just to those 9 twists, and place one of this in each of the twists. It is going to be amazing. So you'll notice that I'm not worrying about the placement of the ribbon. We will go back and fluff everything. Right now we're just worried about placing it in every twist. Just a couple more left. What do you guys think so far? You guys like the colors? I love this color combination. Okay, our final two. So after this, what I think we're doing is just going to be adding, creating our bow ties, and then we can add it all at once. So let's move this to the side and find that ribbon we were just working with. And I think we're going to create some bow ties. I really like the look of them. So I'm just going to see how big I really want one, and then we'll use that as a guideline for the rest of them. So this is probably about a 24-inch piece of ribbon. So now I'll just measure out, just using my hands, 9 of them. So I was thinking maybe Perfect Tails could have a 30-inch one, and then realistically I thought about it and realized that a 30-inch one is very close to a yardstick. So I don't think anybody would purchase a 30-inch Perfect Tails. I would, but... So we got 3, 6, we need 3 more. And then we're good to go. All right, that should be enough. So let's just dovetail those real quick. Hey, Elaine. So what would you guys like to see tomorrow? I was thinking maybe even a smaller wreath or a small centerpiece or something different. Okay, our final one. So now what we can do is we can start adding the final loops, the final tails, and then our little bow tie loops. So I'll just leave the twist open. I placed those 2 in the beginning just to make it easier. And we could have even made them a little bit smaller. But maybe it'll be nice having some extra long tails for the bow tie like that. You never know until you try it. Centerpiece, awesome. Christmas truck. Don't forget, we still have a whole month. So if there's something you're thinking about, we still have some time to create it. And I'll take every single comment into consideration when we start planning them. Home Talk tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Okay, a few more pieces. I think this is the last one around the perimeter, and then we just have, I think, 3 around the interior. So now it's time to add some around the interior. And then what we'll do is we'll fluff what we have and then attach our sign. But basically your wreath is never complete until you take a picture of it. I say that all the time now because it might look beautiful in person, but for some reason when you take a picture you can see every little imperfection. Or at least that's the way it is for me. So Teresa, I did not, but I'm thinking we can come back in and add some pics at another time. Okay, so rather than a little one of these, I'll just switch it out for a larger bow. All right. So you know what? We'll just add our sign now because I just can hardly wait to see what it looks like with it. So let's attach our sign. We're going to use some pipe cleaners. We're going to use our Arrow staple gun. And like I said before, I always just staple the original hanger towards the back rather than cutting it off in case my customer decides to take it off. And like I said, what we can always do is just take our tinsel ties, twist them behind, and you won't really see them after we finish our wreath. So since this is jute, sometimes I have difficulty feeding my pipe cleaner through it because it kind of holds on to the threads of the jute. So we've attached one side. Let's do it to the other side now. How tight do you pull the sign to the wreath form? So I pull it tight enough where you can't kind of make it loose, if that makes sense. I don't really like it to be loose at all. But our next step at this point is to hide our twist ties or snip them off and then fluff our ribbon. So if it's easier to twist them off, cut them off, by all means make sure you have enough twisted and then you could snip them off. But it might be easier sometimes just to tuck it behind. Especially if you have an opening of your mesh right behind it. But always make sure you keep twisting it at least 3 or 4 times before you snip it off. And snip it off at least, I'd say, a 1/4 inch away from the base of it. Think of it like, treat it like a zip tie. You never really want to cut your zip ties exactly at the end in case something happens. You do want to have a little bit of safety. We seem to have lost a twist right here. So this is what I mean when it's easy just to take it and then tuck it behind the mesh, because there is a little bit of an opening, and that way you don't see it as well. You guys liking it so far? Of course, it looks as rough as it can possibly look right now because we haven't fluffed anything. But once we fluff everything, everything should turn out nice. But if we used a muted tone twist tie, you wouldn't be able to see them at all, and I wouldn't worry about them. But since we did use black, I am snipping them off or tucking them behind. But I feel as though you could use the most premium, high-quality, beautiful ribbons in the world, and your wreath would still not come out as nice as it could if you fluffed. So right now, it looks atrocious, but it'll be a world of a difference once we fluff in about 5 seconds. That was our last twist. We cut them off. And now is the moment of truth where we fluff and make everything look beautiful. So like I said, treat all of your ribbon as though it is flower petals. You want them all to be going in the opposite direction, facing away from the sign. So this sign either came from Trendy Tree or Craft Outlet. Trendy Tree carries lots of signs like this. So I'm working around the interior right now, and then we'll come back and adjust the exterior. Make sure you separate your loops from the little bows so that you actually can tell that it's a little bow tie. And if it's not perfectly even, you can always just yank on the ribbon and pull it. But you want to make sure the ribbon's tight enough that if you just gently pull it, it's not going to slide loose. So this is a perfect example where you really want to twist it and leave at least 1/4 inch, or else it'll just open up, and that's something you definitely don't want to happen. So if you're ever unsure, before you sell your wreath, always make sure you go throughout and make sure all of the loops and the twists are secured. Okay, so our final and the interior, and then we'll do the exterior And then it's moment of truth once I hang it up. See if you guys like it. Thank you. Would love to see a Deco Mesh Christmas swag. So we created one last year, I believe on this page, but we did one using a Christmas tree form that we inverted in the exclusive Wreath community. That's what we did actually today for fall, for a mailbox swag. So always just think outside of the box. You know, certain things that are supposed to be used for one purpose does not mean you have to use them for that purpose. Perfect example, the burlap ribbon we're using today on this particular wreath was marked as their fall seasonal collection at Hobby Lobby. The frame itself is a Halloween frame. So if you're able to pick up things on sale, even if it's not for that specific season, I definitely encourage you to do so, especially things that you could use year-round. The burlap mesh is a perfect example of that. That's something that we could use in every single design we create. Whether it's rustic or not, burlap will work pretty much with everything. But for those of you that are still watching, if you don't mind sharing this video, I appreciate it more than you would ever know. I'd love to see the numbers rise, and I love meeting new people. So for all the new people that are watching tonight, welcome. I appreciate you joining me tonight. And also, let's hopefully reach our goal of 5,000 Instagram followers and 8,000 YouTube subscribers. I think that's definitely achievable tonight. We were right on the edge. Okay, a couple more twists, and then we are complete. You could add some pine cones to this. You could add some other decorations. The sky is truly the limit. But what a huge difference starting to fluff it makes. Thank you. Great Country Christmas wreath. Thank you. And how simple was that? Didn't take much time, didn't take much energy. And as always, we'll need to fluff it again and again and again until we take our pictures and call it quits. But this is the completed wreath. I'm going to put it on my easel now so you're all able to see exactly how it turned out. And you can apply the same technique for all sorts of designs and seasons. This technique is definitely universal and works for everything. So I'm going to hang this on my easel real quick. Take my camera off the tripod. Excuse me if it's a little shaky. So this is all of the fall stuff I was talking about. So obviously I need to organize. But let's move over. And here's the completed wreath. What do you guys think? Give me some hearts if you like that. Thank you. Very simple. I really like the bow ties. We could have cut them a little bit shorter, but I really like the way they turned out. For bow ties, I like to stick to either a solid or a dual tone ribbon like that where you very easily can see that it's a bow tie. If we use the plaid or the burlap, you wouldn't really notice it as well. How long did you cut the red ribbon for the bow ties? I couldn't tell you. I just kind of I made one and then cut all the rest the same length. So anywhere between 25 and 30 inches. Just create it in your hand, see if you like that length, and then snip it short. Thank you. So I hope you guys have a great night. Again, if you don't follow me on Instagram or subscribe to me on YouTube, I greatly appreciate it. Every bit helps. But until next time, I hope you guys have a great night, and I'll see you all about 8:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Good night, everyone.